And welcome in, everybody, to a special Sunday broadcast here across JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. Thanks for being here, everybody. The Eagles win the NFC East yesterday. They clinched for the first time in 20-plus years a back-to-back division winner. Well done by Jalen Hurts. Well done by Nick Sirianni. And well done by the entire 2025 Philadelphia Eagles group, because it's not easy to do. You come off a year where you win a Super Bowl and potentially you're not as hungry. You got a number one seed schedule. You got a lot of things going against you. They've weathered the storm well this year, and now they are in position once again to march into the playoffs, have a run, have a home playoff game, and it's all out in front of them. It's all out in front of them. They're winners of two straight games, and I feel like the Eagles are getting hot at the right time. I understand that the last two opponents weren't all that good, but you can't control that. You can only control how you play in those games, what you do in those games. It's less about the opponent at this time of the year and more about your own team and what you're able to do. And the Eagles have played very good football. Jalen Hurts gets completely out of that funk. He's back to not turning the football over. Looks a little bit more accurate to me. Looks better with the more comfortable once again in that pocket. So it's good to see that. Saquon Barkley ran hard yesterday. A lot of good takeaways from the game. We'll get into all of them here today. I first want to welcome and thank everybody in. You can see I got the little Christmas I got the Christmas candy canes around the screen. I know Deshay loves that in the chat. It's good to see everybody. Don't forget to hit that like button. I will remind you all as well, later on today, maybe in 30 minutes, could be in an hour, I'll let you guys know. I'm going to talk to John McMullen for an emergency Birds 365 as well. So we will talk to John McMullen a little bit later on. That'll be on a separate stream. That'll have its own thumbnail and its own graphic and everything there. So we'll do that in a little bit later on today. So we can get an emergency Birds 365 and get Johnny Mac's reaction. But, sleeping on the game last night, I come away more optimistic on this team at this point than I've been maybe all year. I think you're at a point in the year now where you don't look and try and change who they are, or you can't try and analyze everything and say, oh, they should be doing this or they should be doing this. And I'm guilty of that as well. We kind of do that all year long. We're at a point now. We're going into week 17 now. You got 2 games left. You got Buffalo on the road, and then you got the Commanders back at home. You're going to have a home playoff game. Right now, it looks like it might be the 49ers in Philadelphia. So the thing now isn't what can they do differently. The thing now to me is how do they play their best brand of football right now at this time of the year? I'm not trying to change anything. How do they all play their best brand of football right now? The defense, to me, looks like it's humming. All right. Now, I know 2 lesser opponents, but they've been pretty good from the whole year perspective outside of that Bears game. By the way, crazy end of that Bears-Packers game last night. I don't know if you guys saw that. That game was unreal, the ending of that game. So I would encourage you to go and watch it if you didn't. But outside of that Bears game, the defense has looked tremendous. The offense, while has been inconsistent and sporadic all year, it still feels like to me, and maybe it's false confidence, it still feels like to me, with all the talent that they have, they could turn that thing on at any moment. And they've started to do that the last couple of weeks. Now you do have lesser opponents where, that's gonna help you. You're gonna play tougher competition in the postseason, but it feels like that offense can get going at any moment. And when Jalen Hurts protects the football and he's decisive, I thought he was very decisive yesterday with the ball, getting that ball out. AJ got a lot of targets. Devontae got the ball. I think that's when he plays his best football. And, you can see the talent can take over. By the way, I love the touchdown pass to Devontae Smith as well. A little out route. Remember, that was after the false start and the tush push. So the Eagles have really, really starting to come along here. And I think probably my biggest concern at this point would be Jake Elliott, and I'm optimistic still that Jake will turn it on in the postseason because of what he's done in the postseason for us in the past. but 7 missed field goals for him in the last 6 games. He's one of the lowest field goal kicking percentages of all kickers in the NFL this year, and that is definitely a concern. And that does have kind of a ripple effect of how do they call offense? What kind of aggressive nature do they take in the playoff games? How does that change what Nick Sirianni wants to do in key moments of games? So I think that Jake Elliott is something to really keep an eye on. But I got a little list here of things that I took away from the game, and we'll get into all of them now. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button. All right, appreciate all you guys watching. Not many with us today, but that's all right. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I'm sure everybody's gearing up kind of for the day of football we have in front of us. So it's going to be good. And Deshae in the chat points out that touchdown pass to Goddard as well. So 2 really nice touchdown passes for Jalen Hurts yesterday. That Goddard pass was amazing. The catch was amazing. Tight window. Perfect coming out of the break. Good read by Hurts. Good ball by Hurts. Put it where only Goddard could get it, and Goddard went and got it. So another good touchdown pass there for Jalen Hurts. My first takeaway is you handled business. Back-to-back NFC East champions. All right, it hasn't happened since 2004. I will remind you, the last time the Eagles went back-to-back in the division, they went on to the Super Bowl. Now, they didn't win that Super Bowl, as you all well know, but that is the last time when they went to the 2004 Super Bowl. They won the NFC in 2001, 2002, 2003, and 2004, and there's been no repeat division winner since. And the Eagles now have broken that curse, and Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni have led this team to another divisional win, so they are the NFC East champs. That's the first takeaway. It's the first thing you got to do in your quest to a Super Bowl. You can be a wild card team, but winning your division is what teams build for. When you're in this league and you build your roster and you're signing guys or trading for guys or drafting guys, the first thing you look to do in this league is, who is my toughest competition in my division, and what personnel do I need to beat those guys? So the Eagles have knocked off, the first big thing that they have to do in a year where you want to have great success, and that's win the NFC East. So a big congrats to them for doing it. I think it's really impressive what they've been able to do here, and 2 straight, man. That's it's awesome for them to do. I'll show you guys the graphic here of the division winners, and you guys can see. There you go. There's a look at it right there. So 2005, the Giants won. Eagles in 2006, Cowboys in 2007, Giants in 2008, Cowboys in 2009, Eagles in 10, Giants in 11, Commanders in 12, Eagles in 13, Cowboys in 14, Commanders in 15, Cowboys in 16, Eagles in 17, Cowboys in 2018, Eagles in 2019, Washington in 2020, Dallas in 21, Eagles in 22, Cowboys in 23, Eagles in 24, and now the Philadelphia Eagles in 2025. So well done by the Philadelphia Eagles for getting the job done and winning the division. The first big thing you got to do. All right, the first big thing you got to do. So well done by the Philadelphia Eagles. Well done by Jalen Hurts. Well done by Nick Sirianni. Well done by Howie Roseman. And well done by the entire roster. But to me, that's Jalen and Nick first. All right. When things go bad, the coach and the quarterback get the most of the blame immediately. When things go well, they get the most of the credit. And you can argue whether that's right or wrong. That's not my point. But those 2 guys are largely responsible for the direction of the team, for the mentality of the team, and for what the team is able to accomplish year in and year out. So those 2 guys, to me, deserve a large portion of the credit, all right? A large portion of the credit. So shout out to Nick and Jalen. Well done. Well done for winning the division. All right, next topic here I want to talk about, next takeaway, is Jalen Hurts, okay? Jalen Hurts was going through an interesting year for him where he's had a good statistical year. It hasn't always looked pretty. He had a little bit of a lull a couple games ago where he had almost a 5-game stretch. It was the Packers, and it was the Lions, then it was the Bears, then it was the Cowboys, and then it was the Chargers. Like, he struggled. He was way off. He didn't look accurate. He didn't look comfortable. He wasn't the same player. A lot of people, Jalen Hurts is one of the most debated players in the National Football League at this point. But one thing about Jalen is he's always, you've always known what he was limited in or what he didn't do exceptionally well. And he was a little out of character this year in terms of, I never normally watched Jalen and said, "Whoa, boy, he's inaccurate." In that Chargers game, he was inaccurate. I've never normally looked at Jalen and seen some of the problems. So that you saw earlier this year. So the fact that he's bounced back now with 2 big games to me is a good spot for him to be. All right, I'm happy for him. I think he's done a good job steadying the ship. And again, you played the Raiders and the Commanders, so it's not, you can't hang your hat on this. But this is the time of the year now. I said it earlier in the show where it's not about who you play. It's about how you're playing. It's about what you're doing to position yourself to be ready for success in the postseason. And I think Jalen deserves a lot of credit for bouncing back with 2 strong games, no more turnovers, and answering the bell. So well done by Jalen Hurts, getting out of that funk and building some momentum and some confidence going into the postseason. So well done by Jalen Hurts. Next takeaway here is what I would argue is the biggest thing that this team needs to do. All right, that this team needs to do for the postseason success, and that's Saquon Barkley and the Eagles' running game. All right, Saquon Barkley had a $132 on the ground yesterday. He had a couple big breakaway runs, a couple big explosive plays. The touchdown run that he had was an old school vintage run right there where he's got 3 guys hitting him. He's bouncing off tackles left and right. He's fighting into the end zone. This team's got to get the run game going to make a run here in the postseason. And a good sign yesterday in what they were able to do with Saquon, a good sign in how they were able to run the ball. And by the way, also a shout out to Tank Bigsby, who continues to run the ball hard and strong in the way he runs. I like the way he runs, man. I'm not saying that they're gonna, go to a 2-back approach, but it is nice to have a guy that runs that hard on the bench when you do need to give Saquon Barkley a rest or whatever the case may be. So that to me is a big thing here. If they can get the run game going consistently, that's obviously going to be a big thing for the Eagles in the postseason. All right, it's going to be a big thing for the Eagles in the postseason. So I'll pull up real quick the box score for the game last night. Jalen was 22 of 30, 2 touchdowns and a $185. He also had 40 yards on the ground, which I think is a very positive thing as well. Saquon Barkley was 21 carries, a touchdown, and 132 yards on the ground, man. So great stuff for Saquon. He ran hard, hit the holes yesterday, didn't hesitate to me, and I think that's what you need from Saquon Barkley. So good stuff for Saquon Barkley. And then obviously while we're talking about the running game, I think Jalen deserves some credit here as well. I didn't mention it when I talked about Jalen, but 7 carries for 40 yards yesterday, the longest 16. It's amazing how you think 7 carries for 40 yards, and you're probably like, well, how much of an impact does that have on a game? It's crazy to me how much Jalen Hurts' legs really can open up the game. Even a small sample size. Even a little bit of runs from Jalen Hurts, to me, really opens up that offense. And, we had concern coming off of the Raiders game where he tweaked the ankle when he slid, and he's running the ball well now. So, back at it again yesterday, 7 for 40. Again, I mentioned the longest 16. He really puts defenses on their heels when he's able to do that. So, well done in the rushing game for Saquon Barkley. Next topic here, Marcus, what's up, man? What's up, Twiz? What's up, Steven? CZ, Big Mike. Good to see everybody. Chris Baker, what's going on, man? Appreciate all you guys for being here. I'll be live with John McMullen a little bit later on as well. All right. Next takeaway from me is defense. Defense wins championships, and the defense continues to play well. It's now looking like that Bears game is the outlier, okay, is the outlier of the year for this defense, where they've been sound all year. Brandon Graham has played well in small sample size as an interior lineman or interior defensive tackle. The edge rushers are getting pressure once again. And I think this defense is really holding its own. Cooper and Quinyon look to me like I get Quinyon might not get all pro this year, but dude, that guy's an all pro. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell, you might as well not even try and throw on Quinyon Mitchell at this point. Cooper DeJean continues to lock people up, play physical and aggressive, great tackler in the open field, seems to be able to run with anybody, no matter who he's up against in the receiving department. So Quinyon and Coop, you got Zach Bond, who's playing well, obviously still. I think even Reed Blankenship has played better in recent weeks. He had a slow start to the year where he didn't look too good to me. And I think Reed Blankenship's even playing a lot better. So, and Marcus Epps has steadied the ship at the other safety spot. So whole defense to me looks really good. And Adam Schefter reported earlier this morning, everybody, that Jalen Carter and Lane Johnson are both set to potentially return next week versus the Bills in Buffalo. So that's a huge addition, man, for this team. If Jalen Carter and Lane Johnson are set to return next week for Buffalo. So we'll see. We'll get an update on that further as the week goes on. But that's something to keep an eye on, and that's obviously a big piece of reinforcement for this team is getting Lane Johnson back. I mean, you're back in the win column 2 straight games, and you didn't even get those guys back yet. I mean, think about where this team could be, when stuff happens, when you get closer to the playoff runs here. So very exciting, obviously, for this Eagles team to get those 2 guys back. And, defense looks good. And those are my 3 big positive takeaways, I would say, from the game yesterday. Now, I do have a negative here. I mentioned it in the open already. And, I'm concerned about it. And it's Jake Elliott and the special teams. It's not only Jake Elliott, by the way. The whole special teams hasn't really been good. The kickoff return, he had the fumble in the opening kickoff return yesterday. That'll flip a game on its head. You get into a playoff game, that's not going to be something you're going to be able to overcome so easily. So I don't know, if Will Shipley is the guy you want taking your kickoffs. Jake Elliott, who's missed 7 field goals in the last 6 games, one of the lowest kicking percentages this year in the National Football League for kickers, the lowest right now of the 32 starting kickers. So special teams right now, man, is a concern for me. And, you're at a point in the year where it's like, how do you fix it? You really don't, outside of just put your faith and your trust in Jake Elliott and hope that he comes through. Hope is not a great strategy, but we're in week 16 just wrapped for Eagles. 16 will continue today, but now you're going into week 17. You don't really make massive changes in week 17, guys. You don't. So I don't expect them to bring in another kicker. I don't expect them to bench Jake Elliott. I don't expect them to fire a coordinator like the Rams just did. I don't expect any of those things. So will Jake Elliott turn it on for the postseason, or will he continue to be a liability? That's a big thing for this team. And you get into a playoff game, man, you need special teams to do their job, to do their part. All right? You absolutely do. So it's 3 phases for a reason in the game of football that we all love. And the Eagles special teams is probably my biggest concern right now, even feeling much better about the offense at this point in time. And then the other takeaway from the game, a little bit more positive, but more funny, is Tyler Steen. All right, so I had some people clapping back and like, yeah, we might be suspended for the Bills game, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I don't even care. I get it. It's not what you want to do, but dude had 8 guys coming at him. All right. He says, F all you guys. I'll stand up to anybody, whenever, wherever, and however. And I loved what Tyler Steen did. I get it. You're walking a thin line there with fighting and things of those nature because it's a team game. You can't make a bad decision to get you tossed out. Some of those different things. I understand. But think about this team this year. The team has struggled to find their offensive identity. The team at times has had a lot of criticism, from the external about how they're playing. And I think it's fair just in that they haven't played up to their potential, and I think they know that. I think the locker room knows that. So you're at this point in the year where week 17 now, the best thing for this locker room to do is if they were here in week 8 when AJ was bitching and they got to here by week 16, can they get to here? I want that locker room to be as tight-knit as possible going into the postseason because that, to me, will help them overcome any of the trials, the tribulations, and the struggles that they might have or the adversity that they might face in the postseason. All right, so I think Tyler Steen doing that maybe could galvanize a couple guys. I don't know. Maybe that's an old-school thought process, but sometimes it takes a dude like that sticking up to 8 dudes and saying, you know what? I love that. Thanks for having our back. Now let's all have each other's backs. Maybe it doesn't work like that, but I don't know. I'm hoping that it does work like that. And I thought, Tyler Steen, you're on the good list right now, my friend. All right. You are certainly far away from the shit list is Tyler Steen. By the way, roll tide. Stop Tyler Steen out of Alabama. So shout out to Tyler Steen. Well done, brother. And hopefully no suspension or anything there, or hopefully none of that he'll have to miss a game. I thought that was kind of I hope the league looks at that and is like, yeah, we're happy we threw him out, but he shouldn't be suspended. I mean, there was a lot of dudes coming at him there. Samer still, I don't know how Samer still didn't get ejected there. He was clearly egging on Steen as well. So I thought it was a good thing, honestly, that Tyler Steen did that. I understand it's not the conventional way of thinking, and you want to be, be the good, put it behind you, be the bigger guy, and, let them beat themselves. But again, I think with the way this team has gone this year, that type of thing right there will play better or be more of a net positive for this team than a net negative. Maybe I'm wrong, but I did like that from that perspective for Tyler Steen. So shout out to him and good stuff, everybody. By the way, A.J. Brown also yesterday, got to give him a shout. 9 catches, 95 yards, long of 24, 12 targets, and it felt to me like he had a lot of yards after the catch, man. I think A.J. Brown is playing his best football of the year. Devontae Smith was involved as well yesterday. He had the touchdown catch, 6 catches for 42 yards on 8 targets. So I like what you're saying, man. The passing game's getting involved, getting going. AJ's getting going. Jalen looks more comfortable, confident in the pocket again, accurate once again. I think this team is in a good spot right now. I get it. You beat 2 teams that are pretty low, 2-win Raiders, 4-win Commanders. But I said it earlier. I'll say it again. My boy Chris 3K said it on the post-game show last night. It's not who you're playing right now. It's how we're playing. And the Eagles using these games to get some confidence is a massive thing. All right, so I think the Eagles are in a good spot. And then one more honorable mention here on the show today. And I think Twiz reminded me by his profile picture. You can see who his profile picture is. Jordan Davis. Pay the man. Pay that man, Jordan Davis. Not only is he a different player, he's a different man. He's a different leader. He's a different voice in the locker room. Vic Fangio has given him credit for becoming more of a leader this year. He's playing amazing. He's playing more 3 technique. His snap counts are way up. He's been more of a traditional DT while also still stopping the run. Jordan Davis, man. Jordan, this is who the Eagles fans wanted when we drafted this guy. And it's not that I don't say that to knock on him that he hasn't been that guy. It does take a while for defensive tackles to develop in this league. Most DTs, it takes 3-4 years. So Jordan Davis got the 5th-year option already picked up for next year. I envision they're going to work out a long-term contract for him this summer before that 5th-year option goes into play next year. And a big shout out to him, man. He's played really good on that defensive line, including with the loss of Jalen Carter, where he's really stepped up. He's really played well. And Jordan Davis definitely deserves a big shout. So shout out to him and a great game yesterday. Moonlight checking in with a super chat. That's Mr. Steen to you. I like that. Mr. Steen, Tyler Steen, taking on 8 fucking dudes. All right. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No flinching. None of that, man. So shout out to Tyler Steen for that. Good stuff, Moonlight. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to talk to John McMullen shortly. All right. I don't know exactly when. All right. John's ready to go. So I'm going to end the stream here. Thanks for listening to my breakdown, everybody. I knew it would be a quick one. Now I'm going to go and talk to John McMullen on another stream on JAKIB Sports. So go click the link on the other one. This should redirect you right to our stream with John. Appreciate all you guys. See you next time, everybody.